you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Tuesday, December 12th. It is 2 minutes past 10 p.m. Eastern, and it is the Sick Podcast. I'm Marinaro. I'm Tony Marinaro. I'm Marinaro. You're watching live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. We're going to have a good one. The Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, as well as La Beta TV, as well as Playground, where I was there earlier today with Agnello Cavallaro and Joey DiCaprio. Yes, we were there, so we can talk about a little get-together that we're going to have on Saturday with our listeners, with our viewers, with people that want to meet us. So, folks, we're going to put things in perspective, okay? This is not a sports bar, okay? It's a casino, all right? So don't expect a sports bar environment or ambiance, or that we're going to be sitting down and we're all going to be watching the game. The game is going to be on in the background. There will be a TV that will be close to me. There will be probably another TV a little bit further away that if you're probably standing, you can have a chance to take a look here or there. It's more of a night where everyone's going to get together. We're going to meet. We're going to shake hands. We're going to give each other a hug. In some cases, we're even going to give each other a kiss. Why not? Why not? But if you're going to kiss me on the lips, there is a fee, by the way, because there's a fee. Okay, all kidding aside, there's no fee. Instead of saying there's no kiss, there's no fee. But we're going to be able to put a face to a name. We've been wanting to get together with all of you. So for all of you who have been saying, when are we going to get together? 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 We're getting together this Saturday night at Playground in Ganawage. Have you ever been before? Get ready, because you're probably not expecting what you're going to see. It's gone through a renovation. It's a little mini Vegas, which is going to end up being and looking like a bigger Vegas at one point. They've completed phase 1 of their renovation project. I've been told that there's at least a second phase. Who knows, maybe even a third. So this is just to paint the picture. You'll walk in. It won't be very long before you'll see me, you'll see Agnello, you'll see Sammy, you'll see Juliana, you'll see the entire Cavallaro family, and you're going to bump into everyone. People are going to be enjoying themselves. They're going to be playing slot machines. One of the beauties of Playground. Are you ready? You play the slot machines. You can play $2, you can play $1, you can play 50 cents, you can play 25 cents. If you're sitting down, you can order a drink, and they bring you the drink. They bring it to you. No charge. As long as you're sitting down at a slot machine or playing poker, the drinks are on the house. Not too shabby, eh? I'm going to be there at the very latest, 6 p.m., so I'm going to be there, as of 6 p.m., I'll be there. You might want to show up maybe even a little bit earlier, probably 5:45, because at 6 p.m., I might even do a pregame of sorts. It all depends on what kind of mood I'm in, but I might even go on live and do a pregame. But it's going to be pretty cool, because before the game is probably the best opportunity that we'll have to mingle. Some of you will end up playing slots. Some of you will end up playing poker. Some of you will be mingling. Some of you will be having a beverage while you're at the slot machine. Some of you will walk around and take a look at the entertainment and all that stuff. So I'll be there. I would say give or take at around 5:45 p.m. And it's my intention to stay there probably until around 11:30, maybe midnight. And if I'm lucky, maybe longer. Maybe longer. The game will be on in the background. You'll always be able to come and check on what the score is and stuff like that. We're going to have a good time. Now, if only I can get the Snake and Grant McCagg over at Playground on Saturday night. Let's see what they have planned. They join us right now. Simon, the Snake Boisvert, is a former Quebec Major Junior Hockey League scout. And Grant McCagg, of course, of Recruits and Recruits.ca. He's a former scout of the Montreal Canadiens and the Bob Gainey administration. And you can pick up his magazine, a yearly subscription for less than $3.50 per month. If you want to go month by month, it'll cost you less than $50 a year, and you'll have full access to absolutely everything. Look how excited they both are to join me tonight. Look at them. Look how happy they are. Hey, it's amazing.
Hey, Snake.
Hi, guys.
Snake, what's going on?
Lots of junior hockey coming up.
Yeah?
World Junior Championship.
Yeah? You seem
World
very
Junior
excited.
going on right now.
Yeah? Who's going to win gold? Who's going to win gold at the World Juniors?
Pardon me?
Who's going to win gold at the World Juniors?
It's a crapshoot, but we don't even have the final rosters yet.
Yeah, I know that.
Although I don't understand why the U.S. team didn't take Quentin Musty.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I was going to tell you. I know that Quentin Musty. Grant, tell them why they didn't take Quentin Musty.
Because Snake likes him so much. They're vindictive like that. No, I think. Well, the same reason they didn't take Hunter Bristowich. You know, you head to the Canadian Junior Hockey League and leave their program and leave the U.S. to go play junior hockey. It gets frowned upon. I mean, we saw it with DeBrincat he scored 65 goals and didn't even get invited to a camp that year. You know, his last year at junior. I don't know. I mean, it has something to do with it.
Grant, are you trying to say that decision makers in sports can be vindictive? No, you don't
political.
say.
I'm afraid so.
Okay, but, guys, listen. There are millions and millions and millions of people watching us right now on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm exaggerating. Probably there's about 37 people. But anyway, listen, it sounds better. There are millions and millions and millions of people who are watching, all right? And they're expecting some fireworks because I think they got three pretty opinionated people that are on the podcast right now. So without further ado, Snake Boisvert, the guy I call Uzerpent. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? Let's go.
Yes.
On a Stanley Cup winning team, is Cole Caufield on the first line?
No.
Grant McCagg, on a Stanley Cup winning team, is Cole Caufield on the first line?
Gee. Well, as an NHL rookie, he made it to the Stanley Cup Finals on the first line. So I don't, against a team that was 18 million over the cap. If they weren't 18 million over the cap, do they even beat the Habs? So I think there's your answer right there. Tony's already proved that he could play on a first line on a Stanley Cup finalist. That's pretty darn close. So
Serpent, stop laughing. He just punched you in the face 3 times. Punch back. Let's go. See, Snake, what do you got, Snake? What do you got?
Look, I don't see the guy as an outstanding 5-on-5 player. I see him more as a specialist. He's a power play specialist.
But you think Michkov's an outstanding 5-on-5 player, do you?
I think he will be pretty good, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, you better watch a little closer. I don't think you've been watching too many games this year, Snake, if that's your opinion.
But no, I think Caufield is I think he's a specialist. He's a guy that you need on your team, actually. Yeah. You need goal scorers because people always complain they don't have goal scorers. But I don't see this guy necessarily being matched against constantly against the first line of other teams, playing 22, 23 minutes a game. I just don't see it on a championship team.
Grant,
well, he's not going to be matched. They're not sending him out there to shut down the other team's top lines. They're sending him out there to score goals. And
but then he has
given first line, if he's playing with Dach and Slavkovsky develop like we think they can, I think they can. Maybe Snake doesn't, but I do. He's sheltered as far as his size goes in that regard. The two of them are very good, already very good defensively. They're big. They're only going to get better defensively. I don't see why he couldn't be the goal scorer on the wing with those two guys on a contender. We'll see though. I mean, that's who knows, Tony. Who knows what's going to happen? I can't say definitively that he will or definitively that he won't. I know you get more. I mean, that's what Aniello wants, then you see the headline and
Yeah. I wanted to. Let's go.
McCagg says,
Yeah.
Caufield's going to be a 100-goal scorer,
Snake.
Not tonight.
Snake. Is Caufield elite in your opinion?
You mean if I think he will become elite or if he's elite right now?
Okay, so answer, he's a slumping hockey player right now.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks ago, he's also the same player who scored his first 60 goals in a Montreal Canadiens uniform in a category of four other players. He was top 5 in the amount of games that he did it in. And actually, if you search a little bit deeper, he's the youngest in the history of the Montreal Canadiens in terms of age is concerned, to score those 60 goals. So, that record, you got to be pretty elite to do that because you don't score 60 goals by fluke. You could score 1 by fluke, 4, 6, not 60.
Montreal's never had first liners, though, right, Snake?
My definition of elite is very, very narrow. So that's why I don't include Cole Caufield.
Well, then you shouldn't include Matvei Michkov either. Then and we'll get into
we don't
that.
know yet because Michkov hasn't reached the NHL yet.
And Cole Caufield's played how many NHL games?
151.
Yeah, well, that's 2 seasons.
So you can't project.
Elite player
you can't project Caufield either. Then if you can't project Michkov, right?
Well,
too early. It's too early for both, right?
The guy's 22 years old.
He hasn't even played 2 full seasons.
Yeah, I have a pretty good idea where this is going with this guy. And like I say, my definition of his elite is maybe 20 players in the league. So obviously he's not part of the top 20.
Okay.
You don't have to be a top 20 player in the league to play on the first line of a Stanley Cup winner.
No,
the three guys that were on Vegas' first line last year, were they all top 20 players in the league? I would say no.
No, Marchessault's not a top 20 player in the league. As
a
matter of
we're
fact,
talking elite here. Marchessault in my book is not elite, although he won the Conn Smythe.
No, but he was elite.
But he
for
played on the first
series.
line on a Stanley Cup winner.
Yeah, he played on the first line on a Stanley Cup winner. My question to you was, can Cole Caufield play on the first line of a team that's going to win the Stanley Cup? You said no. Chris Kunitz has played on the first line of a team that won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, because he just fit a certain need.
Well, correct.
Yeah.
Pascal Dupuis has played on the first line of a team that won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Jonathan
Marchessault. Let's rephrase it. Can Cole Caufield be at least your third best forward on a Stanley Cup winning team? My answer is no.
Yeah,
Jonathan Marchessault.
I don't think you can answer that question. I don't know how you can be so definitive about that, Snake.
Yeah,
because
I would say maybe not.
I think he plays in the periphery. I think he has an elite shot. This is one thing that he has. He has an elite shot, but he plays on the periphery. He doesn't win puck battles. He's not great defensively, and he's pretty invisible most of the games that I see him.
So if I would have told you back in April,
he takes a good shot on goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, he has an elite quality, which is his shot. He's a very dangerous scorer. I like scorers. I think they are useful on the team.
I hope so. If you don't score, you don't win.
This is not a well-rounded elite player, if you see my point.
I understand your point, but like Grant mentioned, one question was about elite, and another question was about, will Cole Caufield be on the first line of a team that wins the Stanley Cup? And you said absolutely not. Now, if I would have told you back in April that the Vegas Golden Knights are going to win the Stanley Cup and the best of the best is going to be Jonathan Marchessault, you would have said what?
Look, the guy has proven over the years that he's a good hockey player, but I don't think I would have bet a dime on him winning the Conn Smythe Trophy. But, look at the list of Conn Smythe Trophy winners. It's not always the best player, or the perceived best player on a team that wins it. It's the guy who gets hot for a couple of months. So that's my answer for Marchessault.
All right. So,
you know what? Cole Caufield this year, I was looking at his stats. I pay a lot of attention to the goals on ice that per game.
Yeah.
He's been on the ice for 0.56 goals against per game this year. Now, that's elite. Believe it or not, he is not on the ice for a lot of goals against, and he's matched up against other top lines.
Why are the Habs
15 to 20 minutes? Just let me finish here.
Yeah.
It's typically someone that plays 15 to 20 minutes against other teams' top lines, well over a goal a game that they're on the ice for against. Montreal is not exactly, what are they, bottom 5 in goals against? So you can't say, well, it's because they're a great defensive team. No, it's not because they're a great defensive team. I've been quite impressed with Caufield's defense this year. And he's still, 22?
Yeah.
22-year-old and played 150 NHL games. And he's averaging 0.56 goals against a game against other teams' top lines, playing 18 minutes a game. That's actually excellent. So I disagree that he doesn't. I think he's quite good in his own zone now. Actually, he anticipates the play so well, and steals a lot of pucks, and gets the puck out of the zone way more than you'd expect a 5'7", typically a 5'7" forward to do.
Snake.
In fact, I think he's a lot better defensively than Jeff Skinner ever was, and I know, Snake, that's your boy. That
Well, Skinner's your boy. Skinner is bad defensively. Yeah.
Right. Well, that just as an example,
All right. Okay. So, Snake, before you answer, we have a poll question up. Is Cole Caufield a first liner on a cup contender? Yes or no? It's on YouTube Live. Go out there and answer it. It's the Sick Podcast. All right. Okay.
Cup contender or cup winner? It started out with cup winner, and
yeah,
you toned it down to cup contender.
No. It's not me. I'm not putting the poll question.
No. I know.
Blame Agnello, Cavallaro, Master Control. Change that question right now. Is Cole Caufield the first liner on a cup winner, not a cup contender? Because he already was a first liner on a cup contender. That happened a couple of years ago.
That's not fair to Snake if you change the question after he already emphatically answered it. So
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, Snake, let me ask you this. 21 goals Cole Caufield's on pace for this season.
Mm-hmm.
He's on pace for 21 goals. How concerned are you, and why do you think this is?
I think he will, I think he will finish with more than 21 goals. Just because of the law of averages. And even if it doesn't, I think it's just like a season where, let's say, nothing goes in. I remember a year, maybe 10, 15 years ago, Martin Saint-Louis. He was playing well. He had a very bad season statistically. The year after, he won the scoring. He won the Artros Trophy. So it happens sometimes. I think we need a little bit more of a sample. I think he will finish with more than 21 goals. But even if he doesn't, I think next year, in terms of goal scoring, he'll bounce back.
Okay. Everything that Marty St. Louis has been talking about here over the last little while, that Caufield, he's working to make him a better defensive player. And by becoming a better defensive player, the opportunities will come. Grant, we've heard that before. He's not the first coach to talk this way. He won't be the last. Are you buying what he's selling?
Yeah, well, like I cited the stat there that he's been on the ice for 0.56 goals against a game, which I follow that stat pretty closely. That's for anybody that plays more than 15 minutes a game. That's just it's top of the league. So I think it's a part of his game that he'll always have to work. He'll always have to work on because of his size. And he's played 150 NHL games. and I only expect it to improve. He's a very smart player. He anticipates the play very well, reads the play very well. You know, like that goal, that overtime goal that he scored against Toronto.
Yeah.
You know, he anticipated that so well, like, you know, and stole the puck and created, you know, beat out that Stanley Cup contending Maple Leafs, you know, who it was a big part of it, right? And that was as an NHL rookie.
Goal scorers usually have a great sense of anticipation.
For sure. But I mean, that's not just in the offensive zone. I've seen it. I've been impressed with his defense this year. I think it's improving. So when you're not scoring goals, it's good that that's coming along, right? I think.
Do you find, having said that, and we can agree on all of his qualities, that he is trying really hard to get as many pucks at that net on the power play as possible, that sometimes he probably should be looking for another play, and some of his shots are actually missing the net and they're losing possession on the power play? It's something that I've picked up. I don't know if you see the same thing. Maybe I'm just getting old.
Yeah. No, they're for sure. I mean, and we discussed this before on here, Tony, the fact that he's coming back from shoulder surgery, I think has a bit to do with why his goal scoring is down. His shot is just, I mean, his shot is such an important part of that goal scoring.
Yeah.
And even if it's off just 10%, and it probably is, because he's just not fully recovered, just like a defenseman or whatever. You're skating after major knee surgery takes a year to 2 years before
it's if Paul Coffey would have a knee surgery.
Yeah. I mean, it's an important lever for a goal scorer, for a shooter, right? So I think it's part of it. And as I agree with Snake, where I think he'll finish with more than 21 goals this year, and next year, when hopefully he's fully recovered and shooting as crisply and as accurately, and the releases as good as we've seen in the past, because he's just not quite shooting as well this year. He's not quite the same snap.
Yeah.
It might take a year, and then next year you'll see that the totals go back up to the 30-40 range, hopefully.
There's something that we haven't said. Kirby Dach's injury has impacted Caufield's production, because if Dach is in the lineup, now all of a sudden the other team, all depending on who Dach's line mates are, let's just say Dach is playing with Anderson and Newhook, for example, or Newhook and Slavkovsky, for example. Now all of a sudden, maybe some of the better players are going up against Kirby Dach's line. Now all of a sudden, Marty St. Louis can play matchups a little bit better. Now he can probably get the Suzuki Caufield combination away from the top line instead of going up against the top line. Maybe get him away from the first duo of the defense, end up going up against the second duo, and then he can score more goals. If Dach was healthy, Dach's on the power play, and he's another player with a really good shot that the other team has to watch. And now all of a sudden, Caufield can get open, because if I'm an opponent and the Canadians have a power play, guess what? I'm always going to Caufield, because I think the pass is going there. Whether it's Matheson, I think he's passing to Caufield. Whether it's Suzuki, I think he's passing to Caufield. Whether it's anybody on the ice, I think the play is set up so that the puck ends up on Cole Caufield's stick, because he's the best scorer on the team. I think that hurt.
They got Monahan standing beside the net. He gets the puck down low. Who's he look for? Caufield. Right?
Yeah.
Matheson gets it. Who's he look for? Caufield. Suzuki, once in a while, he'll snap it in the, from his office there in the high right-hand side. But invariably, he's looking first of all for Caufield. And we've seen it with Slash so far, that even when he should shoot, he's looking for Caufield usually, right? So
a shout out to Accent Insurance Solutions. We're excited to welcome them as a new sponsor of the Sick Podcast. You know, all insurance isn't created equal, and you know where to find the right solution for you. Accent Insurance. Accent doesn't sell insurance. They shop insurance for you to find the right product right on the money. Whatever your insurance needs, home, auto, or business, it's funny. When I saw Accent's phone number, I immediately thought of my buddy Sergio Momesso because their number is 514-363-3636. Give them a call, and I welcome them to the Sick Podcast, hopefully for a very, very long time. Snake, I started with you. I'm going back to you because you look like, I don't know, you looks like you're watching reruns of Bleu Nuit first. What are you watching? Emmanuel 4, Emmanuel 5? What are you watching?
Emmanuel Lantivierge.
You never auditioned for the role back in the day, did you, or no?
I was 10 years old.
No,
that would have been illegal.
That definitely would have been that. Okay, so let's get back on track here, me and my mind. All right, let's go to on a team that wins the Stanley Cup. Will Nick Suzuki center the number one line?
Nope.
Okay, you gotta give me reasons why though. No. Like, what does conversation sound like with you and your girlfriend?
No, because
yes. No.
I look at this guy, and to me, a number one center on an elite team is someone that you constantly see making plays. This guy very often disappears for periods of time. To me, he's a number two guy. Can make 65, 70 points, which is great, but he's not a top player. He's not a top center on a cup contender or cup winning team.
Grant?
Ask Guy Boucher that. Well, at least Guy would, you were one tier up from what Guy said. He said third liner, right? On a contender when he was on. It's a good question. I've been starting to wonder that. I'm interested in seeing what happens next year when Dach is back, because I think ultimately, and I mean, Dach was a top 3 pick and Suzuki wasn't, right? So if Dach ends up being, first line center and Suzuki's the second, that it's not like that goes against the grain, right?
No. Dach was drafted number 3 and Suzuki was drafted 13th.
Right. It's what the scouts projected in their draft year, so the scouts would be right, So, he was the number one center. I'll go back to it and make Snake laugh again. He was the number one center on the team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals. So, that was with Price and Nets and, Weber.
Was he or was Phil Deneau considering the ice time that Deneau's line was getting?
Oh, well, yeah. Good question.
Yeah, I think Deneau, I think
he was a 1A, I guess.
Yeah. I think Deneau's line probably got more ice time, but I could be wrong. It's going back a couple of years, of course.
No, that's fair. But again, he was like 21, I think, or 20 or 21. So he looked pretty good in that run. He's and I saw it in the OHL. He carried teams on his back to championship. To the finals and to the championship. Just absolutely spectacular at playoff time. He always has been. I agree that this year at times he's disappeared at times. But you get him into a big game. I've rarely seen him disappear. Now, does that mean in the future that he that he's as good as he's always been at playoff time? Because if you go back and look at his stats in junior, it was just he stepped up another step when the games got on the line. And it's one of the reasons why they gave him a C. He's a big game player, and when the games are important, when you really need a goal, he bears down, and he's a pretty special player, or he can be. So I think top 2 center on a contender. Ideally, he's your number 2. And if there is a guy better, then it's looking good for you being a contender if the Caufield and Slafkovsky and other guys work out as you hope.
Snake, is Kirby Dach then a number 1 center on a cup winning team?
It's hard to tell yet.
Yeah.
Very hard to tell. Because the guy has been injured. We have a very small sample. So I think we need another year, like a full year, of seeing Dach to really say this is the guy who can maintain, who can sustain, what we've seen for a couple of games this year and a little bit last year before we can call him a number one center on an elite team.
You're pretty funny, Snake. Kirby Dach's been in the league longer than Cole Caufield.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's older than Cole Caufield, and he's played more games than Cole Caufield. For him, it's too early to tell, but Caufield, you've completely dismissed it.
Well, because
you like big players and you don't like small players. Yeah. All right, okay,
no,
I got it.
No, it's not the size. It's the fact that with Dach, he was traded. He was, and his learning curve was kind of like always trending up. And then it was interrupted by the injury. Whereas Cole Caufield, he's the type of player that what you see is what you get. It was kind of predictable from his time in the USNTDP at Wisconsin.
Well, I don't think so, because I don't think so. What we saw from Cole Caufield under Dominic Ducharme, I hope is not what we're going to get. And he proved that it wasn't after that.
Yeah, that was a few. Yeah, that's when he was a rookie. But what I'm saying is that with Kirby Dach, it's too hard to tell. The guy's been injured so much, and he was traded. So it's not the same learning curve as Cole Caufield.
And come playoff time, I'll grant this to Snake, and he's not coming right out and saying it, but ideally you want 6'4" guys on your first line and not necessarily 5'7" guys. I mean, you got to wear down. You want to wear down the opponents, and certainly that's another reason why Cole Caufield was picked 15th overall, and
there's exceptions.
Picked 3rd overall. So,
there's exceptions. There's some small guys that actually rose to the occasion in the playoffs. Matt Naslund is one. Marty St. Louis is another. Jonathan Marshall's another. Theoren Fleury is another.
But I mean, you can only name a handful, and you can name 100 big guys that excelled at playoff time. Exactly. Keith Primo for a 2-year stretch was arguably the best player in the entire playoffs, and he'd never been the best player in the league during the regular season, but come playoff time, big guys, they tend to, step up because it gets bigger and tougher.
Grant, I think of a big centerman, and if memory serves me well, because this is going back, give or take about 23 years. But if memory serves me well, there was a 6'5" centerman that I don't think, when all is said and done, is going to be better or was better or going to be better than Kirby Dach. But he had the luxury of playing with 2 very special defensemen on the best defensive team in hockey with one of the best goalies in the history of the game. It's a Jeopardy question. Who am I?
You talking the Devils or?
It's a Jeopardy question. Who am I?
6'5".
Holik?
Jason Arnott?
Oh, he wasn't 6'5", but yeah, okay. Yeah.
6'4" or 6'5". I mean, Jason Arnott was a tower.
6'3", 6'4", something like that. Okay. Yeah. I thought maybe you meant Bobby Holik, but that's same team, right? You could have said one or the other.
Bobby Holik was on the crash line though with Randy McKay and with
they were a big part. He was Paluzzo. A big part of them winning, as big as Arnott, you could argue, but yeah.
Let me check Arnott's hockey DB. Jason Arnott.
They always add an inch.
Yeah, I guess 6'5", 220 pounds. Drafted by the Edmonton Oilers in 1993, first round, 7th overall. Jason Arnott had a season of 68 points with the Oilers. He had one of 72 points with Nashville, one of 76 points with Dallas. But other than that, for the most part, most of his seasons, he was in the 50s.
Yeah.
That's, he's centered at number 1. Now, mind you, was he not on a line with Patrick Elias and Peter Sikora?
Yeah, that's a good example, Tony, for sure.
Yeah, pretty good line. pretty good line.
True.
But Snake, will you say that, in your opinion, even though the sample size has been small and because there's been a transition and going from one team to another and changing systems and changing cultures and changing coaches and being injured in between, would you say that, in your opinion, Kirby Dach's ceiling to be a number one centerman on a cup-winning team is higher than Nick Suzuki's?
Yes.
So if you're Marty St. Louis next season, when Kirby Dach comes back from that ACL and he's healthy, if the theory of a number one line is putting your three best players together, and let's just say those wingers are Caufield and Slafkovsky, you would put them with Dach instead of Suzuki.
Yeah.
Would you do that if you're Marty St. Louis?
Ideally, the Canadians win a lottery and they get a guy like Celebrini to be the number one center. That's ideal.
Number one centerman.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. And Dach can be on the wing.
Yeah.
In the top six.
Mm.
That's an option. Mm. By the way, Tony, I look back at that year, the playoffs. The year they went and they had Holik and Arnott.
Yeah.
Holik had 16 points, Arnott had 15. So,
wow.
I mean, one or the other, they were both pivotal parts. But to have that 1-2 punch, the 6'4" plus centerman, back to back, it was a big part, obviously along with the defense and the goaltending, for sure,
Remember Bobby Holik at one point was making $9.6 million or something like that near the end of his career. Was it with the Rangers or something?
Probably because of that year, that playoff year.
All right. The Snake just said something. The guy they call the Snake, I call him Uzerpend. He just said Macklin Celebrini is the number one centerman in the National Hockey League. Any debate on that?
No. He could be pretty special. And all around too, like Crosby light, that type of leadership. He's going to be really good defensively, just no holes in his game. And I mean, we've seen the skill. He's gonna score a lot of points and just help you win hockey games. I think, without a doubt, if Montreal ended up drafting Celebrini, that eventually he'd be their number one center.
Is he a slam dunk at number one? Look, I know that there's still 4 or 5 very important months to go, but if everyone plays to their ability between now and the end of their respective seasons, come draft day, is Macklin Celebrini the consensus number one pick?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Snake, who's number 2, and why is he ahead of that number 2?
Okay, well, for now I have Cole Yzerman at number 2, but Cole Yzerman is a goal scorer, which is very important, but he doesn't have a well-rounded game like Celebrini does, and Celebrini is also a great offensive player, and he plays center, and he's already in college at age 17. Actually, just for the record, I'm going to go see him in Vermont. He's playing with Boston University in Burlington in January. I'm going to be there. So, maybe on a podcast in January, we can discuss him in further detail. But I don't see how Celebrini will not become the best player in this draft.
I was thinking of going to watch Lane Hudson in Vermont in January on the 19th and or the 20th.
They both play. They play on the same.
That's the game he's talking about, Tony.
Yeah. That's the one. About. Yeah, 19th and the 20th. Yeah. So which one we're going together or what? What's the story here?
Well, I already got my tickets, but we
you already got the tickets?
Yeah, we can meet for a beer. I booked my hotel room. I got my tickets. I mean, we can meet for a beer in between periods. Although I'm not sure they serve beer at the arena in Burlington.
Hold on a sec. Who are you going with?
My girlfriend.
Oh, you're going with your girlfriend because you booked your hotel room. I was already going to. I was going to stay. I'm going to stay with you or what? What's the story here?
Okay, this is a family-friendly show, so I'm not going to discuss the possibilities.
So you're going down to watch Celebrini, and I'd be going down to watch Lane Hudson.
No, I'm going to watch both, actually.
So let me ask you a question, Snake.
Yeah.
Is Lane Hudson making Celebrini look better, or is Celebrini making Lane Hudson look better?
Neither.
They're both very good.
Lane Hudson was pretty good last year without Celebrini, and Celebrini was really good last year without Cole Hudson. So, or Lane Hudson. I mean, whoops, little Freudian slip
Hudson
there.
is the brother, probably.
That's right.
First round pick this year, I guess. Yeah.
The way it's shaping up, he might be, because I think it's the Hudson factor, I call it, because teams are going to look and say, well, we should have picked this Hudson in the first round.
Yeah,
maybe we better not make that mistake twice. And I think it's going to help Cole with his draft stock when it's all said and done.
Grant, I have an idea. If you want, I can take the Vespa down to Vermont, and you can you can hop a ride with me. It'll be the next taping of Dumb and Dumber. Remember when you got on the scooter, Dumb and Dumber? You never saw that, right? Yeah. We can. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Hey, okay, where am I going with this now? Snake, Lane Hudson. Can he be the next Quinn Hughes?
No.
Why not?
The skating.
Is he a better stick handler than Quinn Hughes?
I think he's close enough, but I think it's the skating that really, really sets them apart.
Grant, can Lane Hudson be the next Quinn Hughes?
I agree with Snake there. It's there's a difference in the mobility.
Yeah,
I think he can be an offensive. I think he can run a power play in the NHL and put up a lot of points. But will he be? He's not as big or as mobile as McCagg, so I don't see him ever being as good defensively. An all-around defenseman that McCagg is. I mean, McCagg's a special skater. Special mobility, quickness. Lane is shifty. Like his shiftiness is just out of this world. But straight ahead speed, he doesn't accelerate like McCagg, and his mobility is not in the same league, and he's smaller. So I don't think Lane Hudson's going to be Lane Hudson. I don't think there's anyone in the league that you can really compare him to. He may come close to getting as many points as McCagg in a good year now and then. But as far as being the all-around first line up against other teams' top lines, shutting them down, that's asking a lot of a 5'9" kid, no matter how special a player. His brain's obviously great, and his shiftiness is great, and his puck skills are great. But I don't think that the size skating will keep him a notch below McCagg level, which is still, I'll take that every day from us. 64th overall pick or whatever it was that they took him.
Guys, what's the number one reason why the Montreal Canadiens aren't scoring goals? Nick Suzuki's on pace for 64 points. We talked about it. Monahan's on pace for 47 points. Caufield's on pace for 21 goals. Gallagher's on pace for 15 goals. What's the number one reason that this team doesn't score a lot of goals?
Not enough talent.
Yeah. They're still lacking enough. Like with Dach out of the lineup, they've been trying to plug in other guys, and they just don't have a top six that compete with the top teams' top six. It's just not there, I mean, we've had a lot of people. You've seen them audition a lot of guys, and I mean, when you're trotting out a power play for most of the season so far with a player that hasn't scored a goal all year, you're lacking talent, skill depth. And that, I mean, if they had Dach in the lineup, I think that they'd be right in the playoff picture right now, because I think that's the piece that they're missing in the top six. But there just isn't enough talent depth right now to compete with the elite teams. I don't think, and score goals at that
Snake,
level.
Marty St. Louis today at practice was, you know what? It's all about getting to the inside. It's all about, getting to the net. I guess the message is that his players don't go to the net as much as they should. Huh?
They don't. Suzuki doesn't go to the net. Caufield doesn't go to the net. You have to go to the net in this day and age. I mean, this is not the 70s anymore, with goalies playing with small pads and barely covering angles. I mean, you really got to earn your goals in the NHL now. And yeah, too much work on the periphery, in my opinion.
Not for everyone to go to the net. Going to the net hurts. You got to pay the price.
Yeah. And that's what I liked about Jeff Skinner. He goes to the net.
Yeah. And now we're back to Jeff Skinner.
There you go.
Where is Jeff Skinner coming from all of a sudden?
Well, because we talked about at the beginning of the show. That's all.
Yeah, he scores 8 goals a year versus the Canadians, and then he scores 7 more goals versus the rest of the league.
I think he's the top goal scorer from the 2010 draft in terms of goal scoring.
I know that Snake was always proud of that he liked Skinner more than most NHL teams did, and I know for a lot of years that he talked about that and was proud that he had him ranked high. And I mean, what he's got 300, almost 400 NHL goals, almost played 1,000 games. So. The interesting thing with Skinner, though, is that he's never played a playoff game. He's almost played 1,000 games.
He also has, although I'm very happy for him, he has a pretty bad contract.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt the Sabres right now because they're okay cap-wise.
But unfortunately for him,
$9 million a year for Skinner. I mean, he has a pretty good agent, I think.
Unfortunately for Skinner, he's been in Buffalo for the last 6 years, and they've been in the cellar for like the last 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever it is. I can't understand Carolina not making the playoffs, though, when Skinner was there. That's a little bit weird, but I have to tell you, with all, and here I could pump Snake's tires on this one. If he was the president of the Skinner fan club back in 2010, if you would have told me that Jeff Skinner, when his career was going to be said and done, was going to score more goals than Taylor Hall and Tyler Seguin, I would have never believed you.
Yeah.
I would have never believed you.
Yeah. I did a bunch of research for tonight because I thought you were going to talk about Michkov and Reinbacher, to be honest with you, because it's been a hot topic on.
Well, the show's not over yet.
I have a couple of interesting stats that pertain to Skinner, for instance, and how good he was in his rookie year. Like the year after he was drafted, he scored 31 goals in the NHL.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Michkov, who turns 19 shortly, who's older than Skinner was, he's on pace to score 21 in the KHL this year. Safe to say, if you wanted to compare one to the other, which one's more impressive, I would go with Skinner scoring 31 goals at 18 in the NHL. And at the time, people thought, wow, this kid's going to, he could be a 50 goal scorer. He's going to be fantastic. Snake, was in his glory and well-being because he looked like he was going to be a superstar. Yeah. But I mean, he never made the playoffs, 900, and he's had 6 30-goal seasons, hit 40 once. That's not bad, but
it's very good.
Not an elite playmaker. And then Eli Tolvanen's another guy.
Yeah.
In his year after he was drafted, same age as Michkov.
He got drafted by Nashville, the 30th or 31st or something like that, and then ended up putting him on waivers and Seattle picked him up?
He scored 25 goals in 60 games. Now, if you go to the projection for Michkov there this year, he's on pace for 21 in 59 games. And he also plays more. His ice time's higher than Michkov, or than Tolvanen got. It works out. In his last 20 games, Tony, Michkov has scored 6 goals, averaging 18 minutes a game. It works out everything works out evenly to 1 goal every 60 minutes. He's been on the ice for 4 goals every 60 minutes. He's averaging less than a hit every 60 minutes.
Well, I don't expect
he's got 20 giveaways every 60 minutes, and he's scoring 1 goal. But everybody talks, oh, well, here's his highlights. He's a superstar. He's got a higher points per game than Ovechkin did, even though the league is completely watered down now. Like Jordan Wheel's 4th in KHL scoring this year. You know, there's no guarantee. Like Eli Tolvanen was on a better pace of scoring. He was scoring 1.47 goals per 60 minutes. Michkov in his last 20s averaging 1. So he's not scoring any better than Tolvanen did. But I remember, if you remember, people were saying, if doing redrafts and everything, that Tolvanen top 5. If you did the draft today, because he scored 25 goals in the KHL at the same age as Michkov at a better pace. Well, he's scored 46 goals in the last 5 years in the NHL. There's no guarantee that you have a good year at 19 in the KHL that you're going to be an NHL superstar. But
I hear you.
That's all you read and all you hear on Twitter. Today, Reinbacher again, trending all day because, why didn't they take Michkov? Because look at his points per, compared to what Ovechkin got 30 years ago when it wasn't even the KHL, in the last 8 years, I look back at the top 20 scorers. There's 2 guys that were top 20 scorers that are playing in the NHL. Kaprizov and Dadonov. I think there's a kid in San Jose too. But 3 guys. It's this notion that if you produce in the KHL at 19 years of age, that guarantees that you're going to be an NHL superstar. I mean, we have to wait and see.
You're right about that, but I could probably tell you that if Michkov was playing in the National Hockey League surrounded with better players than he is in the KHL, he'd probably be putting up better stats than he is in the KHL. It's possible.
No, I really don't think so. Because I've watched his games and he's not for his size, he's not an elite skater. He's just not. He's shifty, but his speed is, for his size, again, when you're projected to the NHL, is okay. But he doesn't overpower people. He's not going to be not going to beat NHL defensemen to the outside. It's maybe once in a while. It's going to be rare. He's very smart. He's very opportunistic. He's going to get points in the NHL. But this thought that he's going to be a franchise, I keep saying transformational. You see that? Well,
yeah. Grant, I'll tell you
last
why.
20 games, this 19-year-old in the KHL has transformed his team into a 3-goal. They've won 3 games out of their last 20.
Grant, I'll tell you why.
How many franchise players can you recall the year after they were drafted played on a team that went 3-16-1? Like, he's good. He's going to get points in the NHL, but this thought that he's going to be a franchise player, I really don't see it, Tony. And I've watched probably 20 of his games this year.
Snake?
I don't see Michkov as a franchise player. I see Michkov as a 40 to 50 goal scorer on a line with Cutter Gauthier, another one of my favorites. That's all I see. Yeah,
well, I mean, Jeff Skinner scored 30 goals in the NHL at 18, and he scored 40 once. Playing with some pretty good playing with Eric Stahl, and I think
Michkov is a more skilled player than Jeff Skinner.
Yeah, well, perhaps, but you certainly, when you look at the stats, I look at Noah Dobson as a good comparable for Reinbacher. Like let's do after their season after they were drafted. Jeff Skinner, 31 goals, Dobson went back to junior, had like 50 points. At the time, would you have said, well, would you pick Dobson over Skinner? Probably not. You'd say, oh, I'd pick Skinner ahead of, because he had 31 goals in the NHL. Wow, at 18. How good's he going to be? I see it as a similar thing with Reinbacher, who a 6'3" right defenseman, two-way potential, raw like Dobson was when he was drafted. A lot of similarities there. And I also see Skinner and Michkov, one-way guys to a certain extent, more scorers than playmakers, I think. Yeah, I agree that Michkov has more upside than Skinner did, but to be a consistent 40-50 goal scorer at the NHL level, I'm not seeing it. I'd be surprised. But I'm not gonna say definitively that he won't be a 50 goal scorer, but I think that people need to lower their expectations a bit, and we're seeing it a bit too. But they're putting a little too much stock into his stats and not actually watching the player. And I've had a pretty good look at him this year, and I like him. And I agree he's going to get opportunity in Philly. He'll be on the first line. Cutter Gauthier, I mean, he's getting outpointed by the Smith and those guys who are freshmen, and he hasn't necessarily taken that next step that I thought he would offensively this year so far. So while I still think he's one of the top 5 players from last year's draft class, I don't know that it was that's not saying a heck of a lot necessarily, because it wasn't a great draft class,
So your question was he's won 3 of 20 games. How many superstars?
The last 20 games that Michkov played in with Sochi, they won 3 games, lost 16, and tied 1. He hasn't played in the last 4 games, Tony, or 3 anyway. He's been out of the lineup. But I went through Instat, and I went through every game.
Yeah. Joe Sakic was a superstar. He played on a Quebec Nordiques team that won 12 games.
Yeah.
There's one.
Michkov's no Joe Sakic. Come on, Tony.
I didn't say he was.
He's not a 6-foot center.
You asked a question and I answered it. That's all. I mean, I didn't say he was.
No, he was drafted 15th overall too, and
Yeah. Who he
Yeah.
went on is one of the greatest players to ever play the game, Joe Sakic. One of the greatest players to ever play the game.
Yeah. When he was 19 years old, he wasn't on a team that won. I think he was still in junior at 18 the year after he was drafted, wasn't he?
Joe Sakic.
Back. Because he went back to junior hockey at age 18.
That's right.
To his request. He went back to junior hockey. Then he started with the Nordiques at age 19.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's always exceptions to, I'm just saying this guy that's supposed to be transformational, he's not making his team better,
I'll tell you why.
They won 3 of their last 20 that he played in. So
so Grant, great points. And you talked about and it's good. There's some clarity there, and there's serious data there. But you said a lot of people are talking about Michkov, and a lot of people are talking about Michkov. A lot of people. I think a lot of people are talking about Michkov for a couple of reasons. And yes, maybe you're right, and he's not going to end up being what people think he's going to end up being. For sure. I think it's going to be pretty tough for him to meet those expectations. But a lot of people are talking about Michkov because everyone's happy with what the Canadians have stockpiled on defense. They're stacked. And yes, there was an opening at right defense for sure. But they have a ton of defensemen. And I think most Canadians fans think they're missing a creative player at the forward position. And maybe Michkov won't put up 40 in the NHL, and maybe he won't put up 100 points. But you see some creativity there that he can definitely help a power play that has been lethargic for over a decade.
Tony, do you ever play chess?
No, I play checkers.
Okay, because it sounds like you're playing checkers there.
Okay.
Because can you not take, like, it doesn't have to be black and white. Well, can you not trade your excess defenseman to get
of course you
that
can.
scoring piece?
Of course you can.
Well, that's why did the Nashville Predators draft Seth Jones 4th overall when they had Weber, they had Josie, they had Ellis, because they thought he was the best player. And what did they do 2 years later when they needed a first-line centerman?
That was the
they traded him for Ryan Johansson.
Yeah.
So Montreal is going to trade. They already traded one for Dach.
Yeah,
I'd say that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it did.
Well,
the only thing is you got to cross your
one more guy that we're and it's always a guy that I hate that you have to get rid of him, but you have to trade those guys. It's guys that other teams want, right? The Canadiens are going to trade a hell of a good young defenseman or two in the next year or two to fill in those spots in the top 6. I really think that they will. Yeah, they could have taken the chance on the Russian kid, and I've explained many reasons why I think they didn't. There's less risk with Reinbacher. They think that Reinbacher is going to help them win playoff games, and they think that one or two of these other young defensemen that they have, or veterans, will be dealt to help them get that other piece in the top 6 that I think we all agree, at least one more piece that they need in the top 6. In addition to this draft, I think they're going to get another a pretty high pick. And I'd be surprised if they don't go forward this year. But I also think that they'll be trading at least a couple defensemen for to try to get another scorer or two.
Snake, final word. Will Michkov, in your opinion, be a star in the National Hockey League? Will he be a playmaker? Will he be a goal scorer? Will he be a point getter? Will he be able to live up to the expectations? And what do you say to everything that Grant brought to the table? Because he brought a lot of ammunition to the table tonight.
I told you a few minutes ago, I see a 40 to 50 goal scorer on the first line in Philadelphia. It's a perfect fit for him. They have some big guys. They have some playmakers, and he's going to be the missing piece for them. He's going to be a very, very good complement to what they have and what they're building right now. So I think it's a perfect fit for him to succeed. I mean, I don't think Michkov could have had 40 to 50 goals on every team in the NHL, but I think in Philly, it's one of the teams where he will thrive.
I don't think they have great young defensemen. You need somebody to get him the puck.
Well, who's the other first-line guy that's going to feed him? Like, unless you think Cutter Gauthier is just going to be like an absolute superstar. Like, what are the defensemen and the other winger that are going to help him become a 40, 50 goal scorer? Because Cutter Gauthier is not going to do it by himself. I love Cutter Gauthier.
We don't know what the lines are going to look like in 3 years. I mean, where is Farabee going to play? Where is Couturier still going to be around, and healthy? I mean, Gauthier should be there.
Sean Couturier is not going to be centering a number 1 line in Philadelphia in 3 years' time. You can forget about that.
We'll see.
No, never mind. Who knows? It won't happen.
I think lots of things will happen in Philly within the next 3 years, so it's very hard to tell exactly who he's going to play with. But I think based on what they're building right now, I think it's a great fit for him because he'll have the opportunity, and he's going to be surrounded by bigger players, and because you can't have too many small players on the team. If you have 1 or 2, that's fine.
Yeah, you see, I'm going to tell you something. I don't think Philly's going to be a great fit for Michkov. I really don't.
I think he will.
I really don't. If you would tell me that Michkov would fit into the Los Angeles Kings this year, I would say, yeah, I could see a really good fit there.
Yeah.
Because you have abundance of centermen that he can play with, a lot of 200-foot guys that'll be able to compensate for his defensive deficiencies. The coach might even give him a little bit of a carte blanche and say, you know what? Okay, I'll live and die with your game. You can stay up because I have a bunch of responsible guys that'll be coming back. Maybe, just maybe, they'll give him a little bit of leeway, the way the Canadians gave Richer leeway for a couple of years in which he scored 50. But I'm going to tell you this. I don't see it in Philadelphia with Michkov. I don't see the fit, really. I don't.
Well,
opportunity. I agree with the part about he'll get opportunity, but I don't see where they've got the pieces that are going to make him into a 50-goal scorer. They don't have the power play quarterback. They don't have. I mean, I like Gauthier, but who's the other? You're going to need a 50-assist guy on the other side on the wing for him to be a 50-goal scorer.
That's 3 years down the road. I think it's very hard to project.
Well, I mean, Montreal could have the guys for Caufield 3 years down the road. What's the difference?
Well, they're going to have a different team. I see Michkov as a better player than Caufield because he makes plays. Caufield, I don't see him create chances. Really? Caufield waits for a pass to one-time the shot. That's pretty much it.
I can't agree with you there.
When I see Michkov, I see a creative guy. I see a guy spinning around with the puck looking for someone. And I see Caufield just standing there waiting to do the one-timer. That's all.
Yeah, well, I see a lot of creativity in Caufield.
I don't.
And also,
that's the beauty of sport. I love this, guys. We've gone. I could stay all night, But go ahead.
Quick question for: do you think that Michkov can be a first-line player on a Stanley Cup winner? You asked it. Tony asked it for.
Yes.
Even though you have no idea what Philly, other than Cutter Gauthier, might be and they don't have the defense.
I don't know if Philly's going to win. So I don't think Philly's going to have a good team.
That sounds like you think that he's going to be a franchise player then, because
no.
Well, they don't even. Doesn't even matter who else they have. He's going to be on the first line of a Stanley Cup winner.
I don't know if Philly is going to have a good team because I don't know how Briere is going to build this team. So I can't answer for
Philly. You don't know how Montreal is going to build this team.
If you're asking me if Michkov can be a first-line player on a Stanley Cup winning team, my answer is yes, because he's going to be a player that you're always going to have in your face. You're going to watch the game on TV, and you're going to see Michkov doing this, Michkov doing that.
Yeah, the Stanley Cup winning team doesn't have to
see Michkov invisible in the playoffs. That's what I think you're going to see.
The Stanley Cup winning team doesn't have to be the Philadelphia Flyers, right? He might end up getting traded to another team, might acquire him as what they believe could be the missing piece to a Stanley Cup. For example, the Canadians might acquire Michkov for Reinbacher.
That's good.
Thank you. Hey, just so we end with a bang, okay, Grant? Because we've gone overtime, and gentlemen, you know how much I really appreciate your time. So I thank you very much for this. This has been fun tonight. It really has. Snake, following Caden Primo's 46 save performance last week on Saturday in Buffalo, you say what? You say what, Snake? We keep him now? Keep him, yeah?
AHL goalie.
He's stubborn. You got to say that. Snake, you're opinionated. I love it. So am I.
Just when I thought I was out, he pulls me back in. Snake.
Yeah.
Primo's here to stay. They can trade Jake Allen whenever they want. They can trade him tomorrow. They can trade him next week. They can trade him at the deadline. Primo is here to stay.
Well, if he is, it's a very good strategy to increase your odds of getting Macklin Celebrini.
There you go.
Hey, there's a good chance that I'll see you in Vermont, maybe on the 19th or 20th of January.
I hope so.
All right.
Tony, you told me you weren't going. You told me you weren't going, and now he says he's going, and now you say you're going.
But you know what? Could you imagine spending a Saturday night in Vermont with the Snake?
No, I can't.
We'll have to see. I mean, I'm actually going to be going. I'm going to be going to Europe during the holidays, and so I want to let everyone know that I'm going to go spend some time with my son. I want to watch a couple of his games. So in January, the Sick Podcast for a couple of weeks, I'm going to be actually bringing you the Sick Podcast from Portugal, and I'll be doing it there. Obviously, when the Canadians play their games, there's going to be, I think, 4 games in the first week or two of January during the weeknights. I will not be doing those shows because By the time those games finished at 10 p.m., it's going to be like 3 o'clock in the morning in Portugal, so I won't be doing those. It'll likely be Matt O'Hayan and or Shane Gaumont. But anyway, there's a heads up. So when I get back, I'll get back before the 19th or 20th. We'll see. Maybe, just maybe. Guys, so much fun. Thank you very much. Snake, take out your hand like this. Put the camera lower unless you're hiding something underneath there.
No, I'm not hiding anything.
Stick out your hand, Snake. Snake, stick out your hand. Just keep it there. Grant, stick out your hand. All right. The other hand or whatever. Okay. Shake hands with Snake. Go. Shake. All right.
All right.
Friends forever.
Always.
And we're the three best friends that anyone can have. We're the three best friends. You guys, by the way, you guys are my wolf pack. We're only missing one. Agnello is the missing one. Huh? The wolf pack, the hangover. We have to take a trip to Bangkok one day. Gentlemen, have a great night. Thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun.
Bye, guys.
There you have it. Grant McCagg of Recruits and Recruits.ca. You can subscribe to his publication, of course, for less than $3.50 per month. It's less than $50 a year, and you get so much content and scouting reports and articles. It's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable bang for your buck. Of course, he is the co-host of the Sick Draftcast Recruits podcast with Shane Gaumont. You check it out. And Simon, the Snake Boisvert, is a former Quebec Major Junior Hockey League scout. They call him the Snake. I call him O Serpente. Marinaro, the Sick podcast, brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, of course. Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. My boys, Mike Cinquino, Sean Gerard, yes, and even David Grassi. La Bitte TV, brewed in Quebec, a winner of a dozen international awards. La Bitte TV offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. La Bitte TV, embrace your true nature. Are you ready to win $1 million at Playground? Early entries, daily and return every Sunday for a shot at the $500,000 a week grand prize and $1 million at the grand finale. Playground can make your dreams come true. Visit playground.ca. And once again, we will be at Playground this Saturday night. I should be there, give or take, at around 5:45. Who knows? I might even go live at 6 p.m. So if you want to meet us there, once again, the Canadiens game will be on in the background. I'll have a TV next to me. There'll probably be a TV next to you at some point or somewhere in the area. And there you're going to be surrounded by slot machines. You're going to be surrounded by some music, some great ambiance. It's going to be an opportunity for us to give you the tour of the brand new, renovated, revamped, absolutely beautiful casino that is Playground in Ganawage. And all of you are on YouTube Live right now that have been part of this community, this sick community, this sick army, and you've been chatting back and forth for a year or 2 years or maybe even 3 years now, and you'd like to put a face to a name. This is going to be your opportunity. And hopefully even Stéphane comes down from Quebec Cité and we even see La Belle Josée. That would be nice. We'll see you at Playground on Saturday. Between now and then, though, the Sick Podcast will be back. We'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same place. It's the Canadiens versus the Pittsburgh Penguins and Sid the Kid. And we'll be right after the game. And joining me tomorrow night will be TSN's Director of Scouting, Craig Button. If you like the podcast tonight, like it, share it with your friends, comment Sick, S-I-C-K. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple. It's our way of feeling the love. I think this podcast is often imitated, never duplicated. And for that reason alone, I think we deserve 5 stars. I hope you agree. I love you all. I love our sponsors. I love you. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow night. I can't wait because when I wake up in the morning, I whistle. Why? Because I love doing the Sick Podcast. For Agnello and Sammy at Master Control, they're Cavallaro. I'm Marinaro. E mositumo userpend.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. La Vida TV, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.